Now, someone who can't hide right now is Arsenal. In fertile plonker, Terry. Bro, I got 3 kids. It's the weirdest. That's the weirdest insult ever. Man's got 3 kids out here. Do you know what I mean? Um, Arsenal did drop more points at the weekend, and the big question kind of circulating on socials is, and we're not going to go to Miguel first on this. I want to go to Patrick first on this one. Are Arsenal starting to crumble?
Uh, Ask me after Wednesday because 2 games on the spin that they've. The big one is Wednesday, so if they lose to City, then you will really essentially they've collapsed and they've blown what was it, a 5 point lead at one point, possibly 6 or 7, maybe 8 with the game in hand. I thought they would beat Brentford at home. The game before that, I can't remember what it was. It was another game I didn't think they would drop points in. So they're starting to crumble. To say they've crumbled, maybe not yet. No one expect. I mean, I didn't expect Arsenal to go through every game and win. And win or not drop points. That's crazy. City will also drop points, but the fact that they've dropped points back to back, City won their game and then they got City on Wednesday. Now we're going to see what they're made of. The 2 best teams going head to head, with Man City having that extra impetus. If we beat them, we go above them. We'll see what Arsenal are made of, man. We'll see what Arteta's made of. We'll see what these players are made of. I am seeing Arsenal fans, they're starting to crumble, if we're being honest. Maybe not the players, but the fans are starting to crumble, starting to get onto certain players like Martinelli. There's calls to drop him, certain calls to, get out of it. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm seeing a bit of a division on the socials between the Arsenal camp.
I've seen a little bit of that. I've seen a little bit of that, especially in terms of how to fix the Martinelli issue and things like that. What do you think, Neeks? Do you think it's too early to start? Like I've seen a lot of people doing the rivals, doing the "I told you so." This is the beginning of the end for Arsenal. Now, this is what we've all been waiting for. Lee Gunnar, I believe, is absolutely ecstatic with things right now. Like, do you think that, or is it like Patrick said, a little bit premature? Let's see what happens in this City game on Wednesday.
The season starts in April. All of this is just, a bit of foreplay, a little touching and feeling and seeing how each other are. But there's so much left of the season to go that Arsenal are favourites. Don't get it twisted. Arsenal are favourites. But both for the match, to be fair, and the title as it stands. And if they win, you're talking, 6 points with a game in hand. You still have to play City again. They're massive favourites. But I think even if City win, I don't think you can rule Arsenal out because they'll still have a game in hand and they still have to play City again. There's a lot of games, there's a lot of competitions. Arsenal are still in Europa League, City still in the Champions League, City still in the FA Cup. So I just think it's a big game, and it might be a big game more mentally than actually like statistically. Yes, there's points on offer, but depending on how it goes, the damage it might do. I think if Arsenal do lose, points-wise, for me, they're still well in the title race, well in. But mentally, they may start to doubt themselves. That's the only thing. They may start to doubt themselves. City, I don't think will ever doubt themselves. They've done this before. They were 8 points behind Man United with 5 games to go in 2012. They were behind Liverpool and they've caught Liverpool. They've had to hold off Liverpool, for example. I don't think City will doubt themselves. Arsenal, if they lose this on the back of losing to City already, losing to Everton and drawing with Brentford, especially in the way they drew with Brentford, they might think the world's against them. And then if they lose to City at home, they may have a bit of doubt in their head. I wouldn't, even if they lose, if I was in the Arsenal camp, I wouldn't be telling them it's all doom and gloom. But with the young and inexperienced manager, the young inexperienced players, other than the likes of Zinchenko and Jesus, they could start to doubt themselves. This is a massive game for Arsenal, and because of the element, I think it's more important for Arsenal than it is for City. City can lose this game and still be confident that they can put together a run because they've done it before. Whether they do or not is another matter, but they can still think in their head, we've got it in us. If Arsenal lose this, they may think, yeah, guys, it was a good run while it lasted. So this is a big game for Arsenal, bigger game.
It certainly is. I mean, Gal, what's it like in the Arsenal community right now? Is there panic? Is there like some flip-flopping on title predictions? Is there kind of, I heard Martin Keown say today on TalkSport, no one in the Arsenal camps even spoke about winning the title. Top 4 was always the target, which I thought was a little bit of a a backwards step in terms of things? Like, what's it been like in the Arsenal group chats and the Arsenal communities that you're part of?
Okay. There's well and truly three different minds, right? There's people who are saying that they never actually believed they were going to win the league and that they never really subscribed to this. They were just happy with the situation that they were in. Then there's the people who are very reactionary, are saying this is Newcastle all over again, and they're just throwing their toys at the pram, scared shitless of the possibility of losing against Man City at home and then being level on points with them, as if we don't still have more of the season to play. And then there's the camp that I would say I subscribe to, which is I generally think that we still can win it, and I've always said that I feel like the opportunity we're in right now, we're going to capitalize on it and try our best to make sure we go for it. And I still believe we can do it. And obviously, we need to beat Manchester City, but even if we don't beat Manchester City, we still would be level on points with them with the game in hand. It's not a situation where it's the end of the road and it's like there's only 2-3 more games left and they're ahead of us. It's not necessarily even close to similarity between Newcastle. I would say this is more of a situation like when I would I would say it's more similar to the Everton situation last season when we lost to Man United and Everton back to back. We went on from there and we went on a little run and then we had another blip at the end of the season. From here on out, we cannot have any more blips. We need to click into gear. And if we can stay level on point with City or ahead of them and Jesus comes back fit, I have enough confidence that we're going to go on and win this because Jesus has been a massive miss. So yeah, that's the situation in the current camp with the Arsenal fans. There's definitely people losing their minds. There's definitely people who are confident, and there's definitely people who are denying the title race to begin with.
It always ends up that way, doesn't it? When you're in that situation that you don't expect to be in, and then there's the worry that it might not come to fruition. That's all like, oh, it was never going to happen anyway. To let yourselves down gently. I mean, I think the biggest worry for Arsenal is if you lose against City and then they go ahead even with that game in hand, which you'll have. It's the fact that in the space of about 2 weeks, the narrative has just went from one extreme to the other, in a sense that at one point you were 6 points clear. It was almost like you were walking to that title. City were in disarray. They couldn't do anything. And in the space of 2 weeks, it's gone to City have just suddenly clicked into gear and Arsenal are in disarray. They're dropping points here and there. They don't look the same team. That sudden mentality shift and that sudden narrative shift is what I think could be the only thing that unsettles you. If you can get through that and bounce back from that, you'll be fine. Because even though City won again yesterday, I still weren't fully convinced. And I do still think Arsenal are more consistent than City. And if this blip, whatever it is, doesn't last too much longer, you'll be fine.
You know what it is also? You City fans as Nubbins and yourself as a Liverpool fan and even you Man United fans will know in a title race or whenever you have a situation where you're going up against a team, there's going to be hiccups. It seems like the first couple hiccups, people are already like starting to get scared. You're gonna need a level of cojones to be able to last the whole season. Some guys, let's be honest.
I mean, I figured that Arsenal fans were getting a bit jittery a few weeks ago, and it's expected because you're in a situation where you haven't been for so long. You know, obviously the last title race you were in was the Leicester one, but in terms of being ahead in a title race, we're going back 2008. Yeah, 2008 we were ahead in a title race around the February period. So I understand it. People are, a bit nervous. You just need to get through this game. If you get through this game unscathed, then I think as a team you can say, all right, guys, yeah, it got tough, but we still got this gap. Yeah, we dropped points because you lost to Everton and they lost to Spurs straight away. In this last 2 weeks where you've lost a few games in different competitions, they've only closed the gap by 2 points and you still got that game in hand. So if you can get out of this game, maybe your next game is not until April against them, then I think, it'll put you in a good position. But the nerves are there. I can feel it.
I think
we win 6 points clear.
Well, this is the thing. I think this is why I agree with Patrick. I think this game against City is really important, and it kind of brings us nicely into it. And Nobbins, I thought it was a good performance against Villa yesterday. And once you got that third goal, it was cruise control. You were getting balls into Haaland early, which you haven't been doing recently. There was definitely a reaction to the charges, I felt, from the players especially. How confident are you coming down to the Emirates Wednesday night in this huge game?
It's a tricky one, to be honest. Just to touch on like the whole Arsenal, are they crumbling situation? This Arsenal side was always going to experience a slip at some point. This Arsenal, not trying to disrespect this Arsenal team, but if this Arsenal team wins the Premier League, it'll be the worst Arsenal team to win the Premier League in terms of the quality of the players. So that's not an insult.
That is a diss.
No, I'm just making the point that this isn't like Klopp's Liverpool in like 2020, and this isn't like the Centurion City. There was always going to be a slip at some point. I genuinely wasn't supposed to be an insult. And it's. No, right, okay, just touch on that. Like, I'm not wrong though, am I? Like, come on. Like, you're not going to tell me
it's the worst Arsenal side to win it.
No, but you're not going to tell me Nketiah and Jesus are better than Ian Wright and Dennis Bergkamp, are you? Like, come on. Like, I'm not wrong.
They're up there.
Oh, come on. We're not about to compare Granit Xhaka to Patrick Vieira or Keane Ramsdale to David Seaman. Come on, like, we're not doing this. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted by your girl's face then. Right, so as I was saying, this Arsenal side does not have the sort of imperious nature to it that, as I say, like the Centurion City, etc. had. So there was always going to be a slip, and what was always interesting was going to be the reaction to that slip. And this is the perfect stage upon which Arsenal can decide how are they going to react. We've had the slip now, the loss against Everton, draw against Brentford in tricky games on paper, and now you've got a really big challenge, your title rival at home. How are you going to react? And that I think I will be telling for the title race. And I do think it will basically come down to 2 games between City and Arsenal. I think if City lose against Arsenal on Wednesday, in my opinion, that's the title race over in my head, because Arsenal will be, assuming Arsenal win their game in hand, they'll be 9 points clear. And I can't see, I could see City beating them at the Etihad, but I can't see a 6-point gap being made up. I can't see Arsenal dropping 6 points more than City. If City win,
your favourites.
Well, they'll still have a game in hand, and they still will be 3 points clear. A draw, I would accept as a result, because I think.
Well, remember, if you win, it's in your hands. Obviously, it's still in their hands, but you got them at home after that.
Absolutely, yeah. So, So I think a win, or I'd accept a draw. That'd be fine. I think City could make that gap up. A win, obviously. A loss, I really don't think they could. So I don't know how I'm feeling, to be honest. City have been playing better recently. Maybe they're catching Arsenal at a good time with this, slip up. But I'm edging more towards a draw. I think this will be a draw on Wednesday.
Let me ask
Nobbins, can I ask Nobbins a quick question? With the whole Haaland being injured, do you feel that's actually a blessing in disguise? Because I see a lot of City fans saying this actually works in our favour because we play more cohesively without Haaland. Or are you annoyed that obviously your top scorer might miss the game on Wednesday?
He trained today, by the way.
Yeah, so he isn't injured, thankfully. He had like a slight knock on his thigh, so Pep just took him off as a precaution, and he did train today. So that's absolutely fine. Just to touch on your question about some people saying that like it's a blessing or not. I've been a very notorious defender of Haaland on this channel, and the issues at City are present if Haaland plays, and the issues are there if he doesn't play. I'd much rather have someone who scored 31 goals in all competitions this season on the pitch than not.
I'm just gonna say this: when it comes to the whole situation with Arsenal, it's not the best Arsenal side. Yeah, it's not the best Arsenal side based on the nostalgia and the history of obviously the players that we've had. But when it comes down to the City team, it's not the best City team we've seen either. They're actually slipping a lot more than they have over the last couple of years. And I've even had a City fan tell me that this is the worst City side you guys have had in like a near 5 years, 6 years.
It's the worst City side since Pep's first year. 100%.
Yeah, fair enough. So when it comes down to it, I'm not too concerned about City in the sense that if they come to our house, I'm not too concerned. Same way I was not too concerned against Brentford, but Brentford put in a massive performance. So obviously you never know. But the last time we played each other at the Etihad, was not a good example of what I'm expecting in this next game. I'm expecting this game to be a lot more open, like it was in last time we met last year. Hopefully, we just don't make a dumb mistake and give away a penalty and a red card, because that ruined the game last year. And if we do win, Nubbins, this game, do you think if you guys win, or even if you guys get a draw, you guys are back in the as favorites or favorites to win it. But if we win, do you think you guys can come back from it, or do you think? Because I don't really see too many tough fixtures from now until the end of the season. You guys pretty much only play Liverpool, Arsenal.
All fixes are tough again, man.
Yeah.
All fixes are tough,
think
especially the title running.
If Arsenal win,
just got beat by Tottenham as an example. Anyone can beat anyone, bro.
if Arsenal win on Wednesday, in my head, that's game over, and I'll just basically concede Arsenal have won the title, to be honest. Because as I say, I can't, even if City win at the Etihad, I can't see Arsenal dropping 6 more points than City would drop, because City aren't going to go on a run of winning every single game from now until the end of the season. City will also drop points, so I can't see Arsenal dropping 6 more than City.
And do you think
is Saka still going to be in Sake's pocket, or is he going to play it in that game?
One second. Is there any point you see Arsenal beating you at your house, or do you think that's just not realistic?
No, it definitely could happen. But I think that I'd love it to be sort of similar to when it was the 18-19 season, when it was City against Liverpool, and City had to win. I think Liverpool were in the lead and City had to win to go ahead of them. So and City showed their mettle and they won. It was a brilliant game, 2-1. So I can see that sort of situation happening if they're like within 3 points. But if it's like Arsenal have already won, then it might be like a formality for all.